Welcome, everybody, to the City of Farmers Branch City Council meeting for Tuesday, December 12th. If you would, please rise and join us in our invocation and pledge, which will be led by Councilman Merritt.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for everyone for attending. Please join me in a moment of inflection. Thank you for joining us this evening as we address the city's business. Thank you for this spirit of the season that we look forward to, the light that is brought forward to all of us. Be present with us as we go through this period of reflection and the understanding of how each of us enjoys this particular season. We say this in your name. Amen. Now, if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, if you'll join me in the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you all.
Very good. So first up on our agenda this evening is item E1, which is a presentation of the overall champion trophy to the Parks and Recreation Department for winning the annual Texas Recreation and Park Society's North Region Park Maintenance Rodeo Competition. So just to give you all a little background, each year, dozens of park and recreation departments in the North Texas area come together to compete in the annual Park Maintenance Rodeo. Winners of this regional competition advance to the state competition. And competition areas include backpack blower course, zero-turn mower course, that sounds like fun, plant identification, backhoe competition, truck and trailer course, irrigation assembly course, and nail driving competition. So staff is incredibly proud to bring the championship trophy home again. This is the third time in the last decade that Farmers Branch Park and Recreations Department has won the regional competition. So while our regional team consisted of 16 talented and highly skilled Park and Recreation Department team members, the team headed to the state competition early next year is narrowed down and includes Augustin Aguri, Tony Derrick, Gennaro Herrera, Marcos Barajas, and Roberto Sabaria. So we're honored to present the overall champion trophy to the Park and Recreation Department for winning the 2023 Texas Recreation and Park Society North Region Park Maintenance Rodeo. Additionally, we wish them the best and are confident they'll do an outstanding job representing the city of Farmers Branch at the Park and Recreation Department at the state competition in 2024. So with that, who wants this? You're the lucky recipient. All right. So I've invited our park superintendent to come up and say a few words. Or park director.
Thank you. Kerry Phillips, Director of Parks and Recreation. I want to say I'm proud of these guys. They work really hard. People say, you can't have fun at work. Yes, you can. You can have fun at work. These guys go. We've always tried to have time for them to practice. We don't have time to practice. These guys are just good at what they do. And, I participated in this for years, and it's a lot of fun. You get to, you're competing against other cities. And these guys have done an outstanding job. I was waiting. I didn't get a chance to go over there this year, but they keep me informed. They're always sending pictures and text and let me know, hey, we won this, we won that, and then they won the overall. And I can't tell you how proud I am of these guys, and they've worked really hard at it. And not only in that, but everything they do every day. So it's a great group, great team, and I'm very proud of them. Thank you. Hey, Terry. There we go. Let's get the mayor in. Okay, I got to see everybody's face. Can't see? Okay, now, there we go. Got it. Thank you. Yeah, you do. Thank you all.
So next up is our report on items of community interest. Mr. Brady?
Thank you, Mayor. We have just one meeting, as you know, this month. So the list is long. So bear with me, but it's because we have a very active community. There's a lot happening. First of all, please pardon our dust. The lobby of City Hall is obviously now under construction and will be for the next several months. When finished, though, we will have a modern, spacious entryway with a central customer service desk and plenty of seating. For more information and project updates, you can visit farmersbranchtx.gov. Are you considering a run for office to join our council? Candidate filing for the May 4th, 2024 city elections begins January 17th and will continue through February 16th. Seats for Council Districts 3 and 5 will be on the ballot. Candidate packets are available at the city secretary's office and on the elections webpage of the city website. You can call us at 972-919-2503 for more details. Several West Side citizens and businesses have recently reported an unpleasant burning odor in the late afternoon and early morning. Our fire department has identified several possible sources. Mayor Terry Lynn, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Omar Roman, and Councilwoman Tina Bennett Burton will host an informational Zoom meeting to address the issues this Thursday, December 14th at 4 p.m. You can find that Zoom link on the city website homepage. Bankhead Brewing Company had a soft opening yesterday, Monday, in Mustang Station. The Brew Pub brand is known for craft beer and upscale dining. Farmers Branch is the third Bankhead location. They open at 4 p.m. Monday and Tuesday and at 11 a.m. Wednesday through Sunday. The City of Farmers Branch, in partnership with the North Texas Emergency Communications Center, that's INTEC, reminds citizens to dial *247 on mobile phones for any non-emergency public safety situation. These concerns could include noise complaints, property damage, or cars blocking the street or alleys. You connect to a live operator 24/7. In case of emergency, however, always call 911. Mark your calendars for Gateway to the Globe, a new multicultural celebration to promote the traditions and cultures of residents of Farmers Branch and the greater North Texas region. It'll be Saturday, March 23rd from 11 to 5 at the Historical Park. It will be free and open to the public with cultural performances, a kids zone, unique food and beverages, an international marketplace, and educational booths. With the weather getting colder, local coyotes have become more active both day and night. Several were captured recently by field cameras behind Dominion Apartments at Mercer Crossing, so please be on the lookout. Animal Services will be patrolling hotspots based on coyote sightings, and please don't let your pets run off leash. We'll have a special guest appearance by Santa at Mansky Library tomorrow night. Bring out the kids. 'Tis the season for the library's annual Santa and Cookies event. Arrive early to hear "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." Munch on sweet snacks while you make a holiday craft and meet the big guy himself. That'll be Wednesday night, December 13th at 6 p.m. at Mansky Library. Holiday Craze is almost here, too. It is a recreational day camp run by the Parks and Rec Department for children ages 6 to 12. It'll take place during the December holiday. Sign your kids up now at fbreccenter.com. Have you seen the construction at Hoya Playground in Orangood Park? It will soon be a one-of-a-kind, glow-in-the-dark, adaptive playground that will become our signature feature for children, and it is tentatively scheduled to open next month. Stay tuned. We Want Your Grease. It's the 2023 Holiday Grease Roundup. Drop off your used cooking grease and oil for free through Friday, January 12th. Bring it in a sealed plastic container to the Farmers Branch Citizen Collection Center on Valley View Lane, Thursday through Saturday, 9 to 6 p.m. For more information, call 972-919-2613 or email sustainability@farmersbranchtx.gov. Almost done. Calling all student artists. DART has a student art contest underway. Designs must be original work created by the student to illustrate the theme Explore DART's 13 Cities. It's open to students in kindergarten through 12th. Limit 1 entry per student. Each entry must incorporate DART in the design. Visit dart.org/art contest for more details. And we want your best cell phone snapshots of Farmers Branch. Share your photos with us, please. Of Farmers Branch people, parks, pets, and or events. Use hashtag #InTheBranch or just email them to fbinfo@farmersbranchtx.gov. And as always, you can sign up for City e-News at farmersbranchtx.gov. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Next is a report on our study session items. We did have study session earlier today, and you can see all that transpired. Go on farmersbranchtx.gov to see that. I'm not going to go over every item, but there were 2 items, item A3 and A4, that have been tabled. We are going to have a special meeting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. to discuss potential bond projects and discuss the bond town hall and the communication strategy for that. We have Councilman Roman, who has a big interest in this bond proposal, is out sick, and so we wanted to make sure that he was able to be a part of that, and he'll be able to do that next week. So I do want to make mention one of the items on our consent agenda, H4, is moving, and that will become J5. So H4 has been pulled from consent and will become J5. Item J4 is going to lead our our regular agenda discussion. So when it gets time for that in just a few moments, J4 will be the first item that is discussed. Next up is approval of our consent agenda. So I will entertain a motion. Hello?
Mayor, move to approve the consent agenda, moving item H4 to regular session.
I second it.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please indicate on your tablet. Motion passes 4-0. So, thank you very much. So, next up is our regular agenda, and again, first discussion will be item J4, consider approving resolution 2023-267, authorizing a contract with Rudick Construction Group with a fixed bid amount of $2,642,000 plus an additional $150,000 in contingency funds for the branch connection remodel, and take appropriate action.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Maria Minter, Recreation Superintendent. I'm going to give you a brief presentation. A lot of this information you're already familiar with. I'm happy to answer any questions after the presentation. First of all, we did a bid opening, our first bid opening in early October. We received 1 bid. We reworked the bid package, and rebid was advertised October 20th. We hosted a pre-bid meeting on October 26th where 16 vendors attended, and at our bid opening on November 16th, we had 10 bids. Our low bid was just under $2.6 million for the base bid. The high base bid was just over $4.2 million. Base plus alternate range was a little over 4 million to almost 5.8 million. And this includes the contingency funds. So the recommended bid is Ruddick Construction Group. Their bid came out a little over 2.6 million for the fixed bid plus the contingency funds, which brings it to just under 2.8 million. They were selected based on the when they could begin work, the completion time. They had favorable reviews, a comprehensive budget, work experience that was relevant, and a realistic schedule. So the funding, right now we're looking at using the ARPA funds, which is a little over 2.1 million. And then we would need to use some of our park CIP funds to meet the base bid amount, which we would need about $605,000 to hit the recommended bid amount of almost 2.8 million. And then below that, you'll see the alternate totals, a little over 1.4 million, and then the FF&E at 450,000. So the next steps. Upon approval, our work would begin. Funding options would include, obviously, the ARPA funds, and then using the CIP funds, the park CIP funds, and then a possible phased approach to finish out the project with phase 2, the FF&E alternates. So now I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Very good, thank you. Council, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Minter? Councilman Mayor?
Maria, thank you for the presentation. So let us dive in a little bit between what a base bid and the base and the alternate is. I know in our package, we were receiving a little more information. So is it possible that the community can see that?
Yes,
thank
sir.
you very much.
Yes.
So I think it's super important to understand, the funding, which you've elaborated on already, and then B, and maybe more importantly, is the scope. And so I think it's important that we talk about the scope and what improvements were in the RFP that will be part of the base and which will be part of the alternate. So if you could talk
Great.
to this particular slide for not only the council's information purposes, but for the community as well. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So the gray area that you see would be included in the base bid. So going from left to right, we've got the arts and crafts room, the billiards room, library, the welcome desk area, storage, the garden room, which is kind of the conference room. We've got a sitting area, an area that's right now we call the Grove, which is the theater room, the dance room, and the fitness room. So those are the primary areas that we would be remodeling as part of the base bid. So with the alternate bid, that would include the ballroom, office space, our vestibule, the yoga stretch room, our kitchen, locker, restroom areas. And that's what you see here in red.
Okay, and then if we could go back to the slide that had the base bid and the alternate bid numerics, slide 3. I want to make sure I understand correctly. So we're obviously talking about the low bid at 2.5 plus the contingency getting us to almost a 2.8.
Correct. The low bid is not Ruddick. That's the low bid. Ruddick was 2.6 million.
Okay.
So the low bid is not the contractor that we're looking at
Fair enough.
pursuing.
Thank you for that clarification as well. And then the base and alternate range, as you show, is somewhere between 4 million and just under 5.8 million.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. And so we have not, if we now jump to the other slide that shows the gap, I think it's
Let me go back to this
the
one.
funding slide on your
gotcha.
presentation.
Here we go.
That.
Okay.
So when we talk about the alternates total, the alternate of 1.4 and the FF&E, which is furniture and fixtures and equipment, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Thank you. So therefore, that 1.4 and the 450, that makes up the alternate side. And so therefore, that's what we project we need, if you will, for all of the RFP
Correct.
to be completed,
Yes.
not just the base and plus base and alternate.
Yes, that's the total package. So
Okay.
yeah, the FF&E, so the furniture, AV equipment,
Okay.
all the bells and whistles. Yes, and and then finishing out the ballroom and things like that.
So now my question may go down to the middle of the dais here and look at Ben. Ben, are there some options that we could discuss at this time? If we look at what has been presented to us, it's basically the base approach. I understand that. How do we cast a path to get the alternates at some point in the future? I know it's not going to happen tonight. I get that because that's not what's being asked for. But I'd like to understand where we might derive an extra just under $2 million over the course of the coming budgets, and that's budgets plural, to achieve the enhancements that were originally cast in the RFP.
So a couple elements. The most likely pathway would be the bond discussion that's happening next week, because that'll be one of the items for consideration to bridge the gap. Again, for the public that's here, we have debt that's rolling off. The recommendation for council to consider was to replace that debt for existing needs in the community, such as the difference between the alternates and the FF&E that are in the branch connection and some other projects that may be tough to fund in future budgets as well. So it may be, if it's a phased approach, it may be over years. It just depends. Until we have revenues that are accurate, it's hard to say what could be in the budget versus what's not, but that would be the other pathway. So the primary recommendation from staff is to let council consider it, and then ultimately it would end up with the voters, and they would have the final decision if we were to replace existing debt, or then it would come down to the budget process again to council. But it would also be really contingent on where are revenues and what does it look like for that as well.
Very good. Thank you for that clarification. I think it's important to understand that there are a number of different funding mechanisms that are in play, both currently and projected, that will have discussion amongst council and potentially involvement amongst the community if it is moved forward to a bond election. So thank you very much. Maria, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you for bringing those questions up. Those good questions.
You bet. Anybody else? Questions?
I have a question. So in looking at, it was not on page that you showed in the presentation.
Okay, that's the bid.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
So everything, the vestibule, all these alternates,
Mhm.
that will be part of future
Correct.
consideration.
Yes.
Okay. So I think it's incumbent upon us to take a hard strategic look at that and figure out a timeline for funding that. But you know, the branch connections, I think it's the only building, if I'm not mistaken, that has not been touched in many years.
Right. The building opened almost 25 years ago, December of 99. And I think we've done very minor things, new flooring. And I want to say that's pretty much it. And maybe a couple new pieces of furniture, but they haven't undergone any real renovations at all.
Well, considering the amount of traffic that flows through there,
Yes.
they're due.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people come through there a year. Yes.
Will we have any current graphics or artist rendition of what is to come based on what we're approving that can be displayed in the lobby there? So,
Yeah, we can get
or
something
in
like
other
that.
buildings
Yeah.
that so
Yeah.
people will be able to see. Maybe it's even just here.
Yes. We can get some updated renderings.
Okay. That's all I have. So I do not have anybody who signed up to speak to this. Has anybody filled out a form? No? Okay. Well, this item is marked for action, so council.
I'll be happy to move forward to approve resolution number 2023-267.
Second.
Thank you. We have motion and a second. Thank you. If you would please mark your tablet accordingly. Motion passes unanimously. So
Thank you very
very
much.
much. We're
Thank you.
excited. Okay. Wait 1 second. Okay. Next up is item J1. Consider approving resolution 2023-269, authoring the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with QBE Insurance Corporation for medical stop-loss insurance for a plan year 2024 in an amount not to exceed $547,500 and take appropriate action.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeffrey Ross, Deputy Director of Human Resources. We're going to talk to you tonight about our stop loss renewal, here to help guide you through this topic. We have our benefit partners, Lance and Ryan here, so I'm going to ask them to come up and take you through this.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Mayor, members of City Council, Mr. City Manager. Lance Pendley, Senior Vice President, McGriff Insurance Services, 5080 Spectrum Drive, 900 East, Addison, Texas, 75001. We've served as the employee benefits consultant for roughly since 2010. A little bit of background before I go into my presentation. The City of Farmers Branch is self-insured on our health plan, or partially self-insured, I should say. So we cover individual losses on employees, spouses, children, up to $150,000. And then what we're here to seek action for tonight is what we purchase reinsurance, or stop loss insurance as it's known as well, over and above $150,000. We also have insurance on our group as a whole should our claims overall on all of our employees, spouses, and children go over a certain dollar threshold. One other item of note is this agenda item represents about 12% of our overall budget for health insurance. We spend roughly $4.8 million, and we're seeking approval tonight, as Jeffrey mentioned, for just over $500,000. So we do an RFP every year. I'm going to go through that RFP recap. This is a very sensitive coverage that deals with claimant information, proprietary health or private health information. So we, McGriff, procure the stop loss and provide the city back recommendations every year. Just to go through that, so these contracts are one-year agreements. So we're typically back in front of the city council seeking approval every year during this time. It's also a time-sensitive coverage, so we're typically in front of the council late in the year, November and December. We went out to bid as I've got here in September, went out to 11 current carriers in the marketplace, received 6 declines and received 5 quotes. So with 5 quotes, we felt like we were adequately able to evaluate the pricing in the marketplace. Our incumbent carrier in 2023 is QBE. So we are recommending renewing with QBE. Financially, they had the most competitive terms at a 15.3 percent renewal increase. That's 11.52 on a fiscal year. Our health plan renews and is on a calendar year basis. So it starts January 1st, ends 12/31 of every year. So slightly different than our fiscal year. As I mentioned, we take risk up to 150,000 on any individual that's on our health plan, and then we actually take on an additional 80,000 in overall risk that can be combined with one or multiple participants. So that then accumulates that additional 80,000, and anything over that QBE picks up the risk on. We do have a paid contract, meaning that they go back a number of years. It happens very rarely, but if a claim were filed from many years prior, it would be covered under the new contract. We do have what's called a no new laser provision, where they can't individually single out members on our health plan. That's become a very common thing, where they will assess a known risk and try to carve that person out of the contract or raise the deductible on that individual. So we have a very strong contract. And then a 50% rate cap, which is also a contractual provision that's very strong. And then the aggregate stop loss, as I mentioned, that is coverage on our group as a whole. So we have a budget, we've set a budget and worked with the city on that. If we were to go drastically over that budget, we do have coverage on that as well. This is the results. I really won't go through all the details on this, other than, as I stated on the RFP summary, we did have a 15.3% increase on our premium for our specific stop loss. We also had a very small increase on our aggregate premium, as I mentioned, for a total increase of 14.91%. Industry trends are, at about 15%. So when we were working with Human Resources on budget this summer, we would have assessed a budget line item in this area for submission for your approval. Any questions that I can answer for the council related to the stop loss? We are recommending awarding on this agenda item the stop loss renewal for QBE. As I mentioned, it's the most competitive pricing, has a very strong contract, and we feel that's the best offer for the city of Farmers Branch. So I'll open it up to questions.
So I have a question. Since we've been with that carrier
Yes, sir.
for a while, these are all one-year contracts. Healthcare insurance is probably one of the fastest rising costs that we face. Is there anything to be done that can secure maybe a longer term contract and help us out on the price?
A lot of our other, and Mayor, that's a great question. A lot of our other contracts that we have in place, so our medical administrator is United Healthcare, UMR. We set up a multi-year agreement with them, dental, life, disability. A lot of the other ancillary coverages that we have, we lock in multiple year contracts, typically anywhere from 3 to 5 year agreements. Stop loss, unfortunately, or reinsurance, that is a year-to-year contract. So there typically is no multi-year agreements available out there in the marketplace, and so it's something that I have to bring in front of you every year.
Okay. Councilman Ben?
So basically, you're saying this is the catastrophic, correct? The stop loss is,
Correct.
in layman's terms, the catastrophic.
Correct.
So the no new laser at renewal, is that the reason we're receiving the 6 declines?
No, not necessarily. I'll kind of go through the details there. A lot of times they'll look at so we send them your claims. So we not only send them your large claims, we send them your demographic information. So they're looking at, things like the age of the group, the sex, the male-female ratio. They're looking at home zip code. So there's a demographic factor involved. There is a industry factor involved. So, whether it's life insurance carriers, stop loss carriers, medical, they may not like certain industries. they may have had uncompetitive rates already. And so they said, we're going to not waste anybody's time here. We're 50% over what the city's receiving right now. So we're going to go ahead and decline to quote for uncompetitive rates. So there's a lot of reasons there. And it's a great question, Councilwoman.
Questions? No? So I guess I want to maybe tag on that last question. Are there any new players in the market, or I mean, if they're evaluating our history,
Right.
That's what they're setting their rates on. So, are we doing everything? Well, new players in the market, number one. Number two is, from your standpoint, are we doing everything we should be doing to ensure that our employees are healthy, fit, working safe on the job, et cetera, et cetera?
Mayor, it's a great question. The City of Farmers Branch, as I mentioned at the very first, I've worked with the City of Farmers Branch since 2010. One of the most progressive wellness programs that I've worked with. We've seen a lot of wellness programs with our customers, both private sector and public sector, implemented, and then they tend to fizzle out. The City of Farmers Branch and the HR team, they're amazing to work with, and there are a lot of programs that employees have access to that are not only improving their health, but helping them to navigate this very complex healthcare system. I think of a program called a Light Navigator that the city was an early adopter on, that is basically an advocacy program for employees to call in and determine, first of all, is the provider in network, things like that y'all probably deal with in your day-to-day lives, but also, is this provider the most cost-effective provider for me? I have XYZ condition, who are the top-rated providers that I should be seeing? So a lot of the things that the city is doing, and I'll mention one other thing, the high deductible health plan with the health savings account. That is something that the city was an early adopter on, that frankly, a lot of your peers locally, I work with many municipalities here in town and throughout the state, the high deductible health plan and health savings account have been rapidly adopted by your peers, but the City of Farmers Branch was on the leading edge of that as far as adopting that. So I do think that we're doing a lot of things, and I think that the team here, the administration, is doing a lot of really good things to maintain or lower healthcare cost. We have a lot of additional things that we're looking for with a new HR administration team intact. We are, and Yoko's given me her vision as the director of HR. She's told me we got a lot of work to do in 2024 and beyond to evaluate things related to the city's health plan. So we are always evolving, Mayor.
Okay. Maybe a question for HR directly, but do we, as a business that the city is, do we have any areas that are red flags? Are we having a lot of construction mishaps or injuries that are costing us versus just life events? People just get sick or whatnot.
Sure. So there'd be a difference between kind of what avenue that would go down. If people are getting hurt at work, typically that's going to go through our workers' comp insurance or workers' compensation insurance. If it's life event type things, that's going to route through our medical plans. So I can say that we get a lot of good data from McGriff and from Lance and his team, and we're able to evaluate where are our risks, where are our most common claims, where are our problem areas, and we can focus our wellness program and our events and our education programs specifically on those kind of red flag items.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Tagging on to his, do we get any, and this is HR, do we get any benefits from, on the wellness programs, where we get discounts if we hit certain metrics,
Discounts as far as
rates?
go, I don't believe so. No.
Can we look into that?
So as a payout to the employees, yes, for participating in our wellness program, they can earn up to an additional $700 per year on top of what the city is already putting into it if they complete certain milestones, certain educational events, things like that.
Anybody else have any other questions?
So Mayor, just as a matter of clarification, this policy is covering things like the costs over X for cancer, heart attacks, major, illnesses, type of situations where the standard health insurance contract has paid up to a certain point and the reinsurance kicks in after that for those very rare situations, as well as I think I was pleased to see that we have no new lasers because they could actually weed out a specific person and say, we're not going to cover that person under the new policy at this price. And so these are very deeply actuarially determined rates. And as you can see with the lineup of bidders, somewhat competitive. And I appreciate the explanation of those that didn't bid because I wasn't clear on that, and that made a lot of sense. But this contract renewal is almost I'd call it a fact of life, for lack of a better characterization.
So you brought up a really good point. Have we singled anybody out and denied them coverage?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. We wouldn't do that. Mayor, the issue that Councilman's pointing out is that we could potentially be liable for more claims exposure as the city if we didn't have these contractual provisions in place.
Okay.
If they raised our deductible on a certain individual, that just means because we are the city is the insurance below $150,000, we as the insurance, the city of Farmers Branch, could potentially be liable for additional claims.
Well, not a good model to have, and certainly wouldn't be fair to folks. So,
Right.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, this item is marked for action. I'll entertain a motion. What? Do it by hand. Okay.
Ready?
Motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-269 as presented.
Mayor, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. There we go. Okay, if you would, please indicate. Very good. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next up is item J2, consider approving resolution 2023-274, authorizing the city manager to execute the purchase of 8 replacement patrol vehicles for the police department in the amount of $378,740 from Silsby Fleet, utilizing the interlocal purchasing system TIPS contract, and take appropriate action.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I am going to be presenting the resolution for 2023-274 authorization of 8 patrol vehicles. It's very short and sweet. So, of course, it's a critical business outcome for us to continue to plan, build, and maintain high-quality assets. 10 out of our 14 current front patrol vehicles are 3 years or older. So this is our part of our replacement target. We try to go for 3 years or 80,000 miles. That's not truly what we have, but we're trying to get a little bit better on that. So there was a unit that was totaled in 2021. So this is part of the replacement plan in addition to that totaled unit. We are also in another agenda item resolution, we're also going to ask for 3 motorcycle units. And this would also help putting in that order with Silsby Fleet. And do want to add on, this is only for the vehicles. We still have to do the upfit, which would take an additional 6 months. And I would also present that to you guys when that time comes in about June. So if you have any questions for me, I am more than happy to answer them.
Council, does anybody have any questions regarding this item?
I do, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you. So we don't currently have any units that are Dodge brand currently. Is that correct?
That is correct. We do not. We were supposed to have some Tahoes and they pulled.
Okay.
So we no
so
longer have.
I'm not a Dodge guy. Not that saying anything bad about Dodge, but it's very different than all the other vehicles that we have. And so I understand that in purchasing new vehicles, that was all that was available, practically speaking. right?
Correct. That is all that is currently available right now with government contracts. Yes.
Okay. All right. I just thought that was important for our community to hear because we're used to seeing Tahoes on the road and there's other choices, but we selected the Dodge Durango because of the lack of availability otherwise.
That is correct,
Right.
Councilmember Jackson. We,
Okay.
as I stated, we actually initially went for Tahoes and they were told, no, you can have one of 8. So
Mhm.
either we have 1 Tahoe and 7 Durangos or we do 8 Durangos.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Anybody else? Questions?
I'm sure that the police, administration is fine with a brand new vehicle that gets outfitted with all of the equipment that they are required and necessitated to have. The fact that we have a Tahoe versus a Durango in this case is not going to preclude our officers from providing that service. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have a question, and that is this change in vehicles going to cost us additional money in terms of parts inventory that we have to maintain over at the maintenance center?
It is not as of right now because these would be new vehicles and we would start adding those parts onto our inventory as we get rid of the other inventory parts, correct? But we would sell them at an auction. So as of right now, we don't see an estimated cost.
Okay, well, I can only assume that since everything we've had has been Chevy Tahoes, now we're switching vehicles and they're going to require maintenance. So we're going to have to maintain a whole, maybe a parallel inventory because we still have Tahoes. We're bringing on Durangos, not going to eliminate the Tahoes. And who knows, the next vehicle cycle, you may be going back to Tahoes, right?
Who knows, depending on the vehicle cycle, but I can say we have other ones than just Tahoes. We also have some Fords. So we do work with a couple other different makes currently.
Prior to these vehicles, do we have vehicles that have been purchased already that are still awaiting upfitting and decaling?
We have the Chiefs, but besides that, no.
Okay, but no like quantity of vehicles sitting
No,
someplace?
not currently, no.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, this item is marked for action, so I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to approve. Make sure I get the right one. Approve resolution number 2023-274 is presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please indicate. Motion passes unanimously. Thank
you.
you.
2.6 is up next, maybe a little faster.
Next up is item J3, consider approving resolution 2023-262, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract awarding to Quality Excavation LLC for the Denton Drive Infrastructure Improvement Project in the amount of $2,642,096 and take appropriate action.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is a milestone project for me, so I even went out and bought a new suit for it. So I'm excited to see this one done, or at least coming to fruition. This is a project that started long before I become Public Works Director, but I had the opportunity to take it on, and now we're moving forward, and after a long year, here we are. We're looking at a Denton Drive reconstruction program. This will take place along Denton Drive from the current Star Center to Pike Street in front of the Dart Rail Station. We're going to update the water mains along Denton Drive. We'll be updating the sewer mains and abandoning some mains that are no longer needed. So we're going to decrease our maintenance requirements in that manner. Improve pedestrian mobility near the Star Center and the Dart Station. We'll be adding a trail and sidewalk as well. And we'll be improving the roadway and traffic conditions along Denton Drive. Here's a couple of pictures of what's there now. It will look much different when it's done, much better. Budget impact for this project, $770,000 is going to come from the Pike bond. The DART ILA interlocal agreement will cover $1.871 million of the total project, totaling $2.642 million. Within this, I will go ahead and say I made some extra notes for this one. Within this project, along with the water and sanitary sewer, we'll be updating the storm system. We'll be adding a parallel storm system down Denton Drive. It'll be a storm system that ranges from 24 and increases up to a 60-inch all the way back to Ride Creek. Updating the water and sewer mains, we'll be adding a 10-foot multi-use path and a 6-foot sidewalk on the east side of Denton Drive. And we'll also have on-street parking on the west side of Denton Drive. So with that, I'll leave it to you for discussion.
Thank you, Ryan. I do have a question myself regarding the Pike Street bond.
Sure.
And while $770,000 coming out of that fund towards this, are we still left with money in that fund?
Yes, sir. That's going to leave us a little over $2 million, but some of that money is having to be used for other allocations in that area.
Right.
And that's kind of why we configured this contract in this manner.
Thank you. Council, does anybody have any questions? Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ryan.
Yes.
If you could go back to the slide that has the pictures. You made a comment that it's going to look a lot better when we're done. So
Yes,
we're
it
focused on
is.
drainage improvements here,
Yes.
and a lot of that's going to be underground.
Yes.
But you're going to have to tear up a lot of roads. So when you say it's going to look a lot better, expand on that a little bit, if you will.
So if you look in, I don't know if my cursor shows up there. If you look on the picture to the left, you see where the pedestrian lights are. The pedestrian light is kind of on the back side of the right of way. We will be taking on the outside lane. We'll be moving to one lane on Denton Drive. We'll take over the outside lane, add the trail and the pedestrian pathway sidewalk. We'll be moving some of these lights. We're going to be preserving the majority of the trees. I believe we have a few trees that are earmarked for possibility to have to be removed. That's further down towards the park. But the majority of the trees have actually been earmarked to preserve and protect. When we condense this down and go to the other picture where the red car is up there, which is actually a little bit too far this way to see exactly what we're going to be doing. When you get up past the old school building, Denton Drive will narrow again to one lane. We will add on-street parking, roughly 18 to 20 parking spaces on that side of the roadway. We're going to be moving the pedestrian crossing for the Star Center further back, further to the north. And we'll be adding pedestrian lighting up there as well, which is something that we are missing right now. And this is all part of a bigger scope. This is going to be a phased project. It's going to go all the way to the south city limits. It's going to continue up to Valley View, and then it's going to continue down Valley View ultimately. So we're trying to make a cleaner, more pedestrian-friendly environment along Denton Drive and then further up Valley View.
Okay. And a lot of this, so when does this construction start? We approve it tonight. When does it start?
We're looking at late January, early February, as long as we don't have any procurement issues. We'll start with utilities first. Water and
Okay.
sewer are going to go in. We're doing that so that we can accommodate the needs of the new multi-sport facility that's being constructed.
Right. And so at the same time, we're going to be building a multi-sport facility
Yes,
right there at the same location.
absolutely.
There's other development planned. So all of this is going to be sort of done at one time.
It's going to be a long process. It's going to be a little bit painful.
Okay.
But when it's done, it should be very nice.
And traffic routing during that time is Denton Drive, it's going to be shut down, I'm assuming, and traffic will be moved to the service road or?
I don't know that it'll be moved to the service road, but the contractor that wins the bid will have a traffic engineer do a traffic analysis,
Mhm.
and they will come up with a traffic control plan, present it to the city, and we will have the approval on it. So at that time, once they do the traffic analysis and figure out what the best route is to reroute all of that, or they may phase this project, open one side of Denton Drive up,
Mhm.
construct one half of it, and then move to the other half once this construction's been done.
So I know we're a ways away from that, but I would just plant the seed now that we avoid rerouting that traffic down Farmers Branch Lane
Oh, no, sir, we
at all
wouldn't do that.
costs. Okay,
That would be too much traffic
Right.
for Farmers Branch Lane. No,
right.
sir.
Okay,
We would find another alternative route.
okay. All right. Very
Our
good.
goal is to hopefully accommodate all of that traffic because that is a wide roadway. And
Mhm.
although the goal is to reduce it down to 2 lanes and create new pathways, we will utilize all of that roadway during construction.
Mhm.
So our goal is going to be to try and utilize that roadway to maintain traffic paths so that we're not having to run it through City Hall or run it down Farmers Branch Lane
Right,
or try and force them out onto a service road that's overcrowded anyway.
right.
So there's not many alternatives to it. We'll probably have to phase the construction. And no matter what we do, whatever we excavate, we'll have to patch back with a semi-permanent patch, which will probably be flex base and asphalt. That way
Okay.
the roadway maintains its integrity and can still be utilized.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So the walkability, when when you guys are doing this, you're talking about laying cables as well, correct? So it's live and walkable, workable,
Laying,
like workspace?
Cables, what kind of
Like,
cables?
When we went to Richardson and viewed their facilities and their streets, they had, when they made their walkable space, they laid cabling down, basically the internet type of stuff. So there were live, walkable, livable spaces.
They pre-wired for
Yeah.
high-speed internet and fiber
we have not,
available to several building sites. I think that's what she's referring to.
we're not laying a sophisticated duct system to support the fiber optics and power. However, with the next development coming in, there is a plan in place and a requirement in place to bury the utilities along that route. They're going to have to work and correspond directly with those utilities, which there are multiple right there. We just had a meet with most of the stakeholders, and I think we met with 7 of 9 that actually have utilities out there. So there is an opportunity whenever they do bury everything and reroute everything, more than likely that's going to take place. This area out here is actually already set up pretty well to accommodate anything that's built over there. They have multiple handholds, multiple directions for their fiber backbone. They can pretty much do anything they want to in that area.
Councilman Mayor, you done?
So just to elaborate, Ryan, on your last statement, the work that this is forecasting to do and plan to do, not just forecasting, but doing, will allow for future development to sit on top of that. We won't have to revisit this work because it is of the size and capacity, as you've already alluded to, much bigger and handling the throughputs that are necessary. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Once this is all done and everything's completed, most of the backbone infrastructure's done to handle anything that we want to do further up, further down. All the drainage issues are being handled right now.
Very good.
we've got another drainage project that's coming forward that's going to address the stuff that's at the DART station and coming off of Valley View as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none. This item is marked for action, so I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, once again, I'll be happy to make a motion to recommend resolution number 2023-262 as presented.
Mayor, I'll second the motion.
Very good. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please indicate.
And by the way, the suit looks nice, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's now my lucky suit.
Motion
good
passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next up is J5. For those following along, that was the former H4. So H4 is now J5.
Good evening again. Perla Tavera, Deputy Director of Finance. Jay Siegel. We will be doing the same presentation. This is now the purchase of 3 motorcycle units. Again, we are trying to continue to plan, build, maintain high-quality assets, and we're trying to incorporate other options with the current vehicle industry and shortages. We do want to continue 3 years. This is a completely new thing, and this is new motorcycle units that we currently do not have, and this will help assist with patrol divisions and free up the actual Tahoes. So if you have any other questions, you have myself or Assistant Chief here.
Questions? Councilman Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Perla. We've not had motorcycles, at least as long as I can remember.
Since I've been here.
Yeah, in Farmers Branch. So I'm kind of excited to see this, and was a reason why I wanted to talk about it down here. I just want to know, why motorcycles? What is the added benefit? Generally speaking, but specifically here in Farmers Branch, what is the benefit that we're looking to get from adding motorcycles to our law enforcement fleet?
So like Perla said, Jay Siegel, Assistant Chief, PD. How's everybody doing? So the benefit is simply to enhance our traffic enforcement. So motorcycles are more versatile, flexible, they accelerate quicker, they're more conducive to traffic enforcement, not only on our major thoroughfares, but also residential areas. We have the luxury of having a subject matter expert as our chief of police. So he was a motor officer in his career and also an instructor. So he can speak directly to the efficacy of having motorcycles in enforcing traffic.
So will these motorcycles run 24/7 like our four-wheeled units, or is this a
No,
limited-
it'll be more of a daytime shift just because of the visuals on a motorcycle. So we need to be cognizant of that, right? So
Mhm.
foul weather, low light situations, stuff like that. It's going to be a daytime thing. And obviously that's at high traffic areas too, right? During the rush hour morning and rush hours at evening. How exactly it's going to play out is something we're determining, but we definitely want to get on the bus now to get these purchased, to get people signed up, to get people trained. So when we have them, we're ready to go.
Right, so the motorcycles won't come in until middle of next year, then it's gonna take another number of months to fit them with their equipment?
So we'll be doing that.
No, they come fitted.
Yeah.
Oh, they come
He's
fitted.
talking about the officers.
It's turnkey.
Oh, yeah, these are turnkey. The motorcycles are turnkey.
Oh, the motorcycles are turnkey, but the other units will take 6 months roughly to
Correct.
upfit. Okay, so the motorcycles will hit the streets before the Dodge Durangos will.
That is correct.
Okay. All right,
Correct.
very
And the
good.
plan is, so while we make the order, they're being upfitted at Harley, like she just said. Not only the turnkey, but they also do the maintenance there. So if it's something that we can take to them, we can just take it in, or they'll come out and get them if need be. We actually toured the showroom and stuff like that. But what I thought you were asking is, in the interim, we'll be identifying the people that'll ride those motorcycles, sending them to the requisite training. So whenever the motorcycles come off and they're ready to go, so will be the riders. So
Okay.
we can hit the traffic unit running.
So we have officers on our force today that are interested in doing the motorcycle duty and
So we haven't posted it yet, but I believe that the interest is there. We have a number of officers who ride motorcycles in their
okay.
private time. So, and that's something we want to identify.
When we have every department has challenges getting police officers. They get through academy and training, and there's success and failure rates. But we're adding a special fleet to our department, and the availability of those officers and the interest we believe is strong enough to keep that staffed.
Yes.
All right, that's excellent.
Councilman Mayor.
Are one more
sorry.
question if you don't mind, sorry. Are 3 units enough?
Boy, okay, so you put me in a Chief Latimer position. We'll take 6. I'm just kidding. So yes, sir, 3 is enough, especially because we want to see what we have. We definitely want to gauge that that interest level, and so we've got bigger plans for not only traffic enforcement, but follow the model of other agencies. Again, I alluded to Chief McCoy's come from an agency where he was a motor officer. Well, a lot of times they're also crash investigators, so they're the accident investigators. Same reason, flexibility, right, acceleration, getting to places, and it also takes that burden off the patrol officers who are
Right.
answering calls and patrolling neighborhoods and things like that. So it's definitely a model that we want to see how it goes, because like you said, and I can tell you, we have not had motorcycles in the city of Farmers Branch. This will be the inaugural motors unit. So
Yeah.
can we expand it in the future? I would think so, especially if it's successful, which we predict it will be.
Right, right. Well, I think it's great. As we continue our focus on law enforcement and slowing down traffic and public safety in general, I think it's a really great element to add. Thank you.
Councilman Mayor.
Chief, thank you for the additional detail. Could you just elaborate on what's involved in training a motorcycle officer and perhaps the duration? We understand, we've heard many of the discussions about, the academy, et cetera, and the long durations. I'm forecasting in my own mind, but I'm interested to hear what your answer is.
So specifically to the motorcycle, there's a state-sponsored school that we're looking at in April, right? That's in either Bryan or College Station, one of the two there. But what that entails is a couple-week-long school where the officer gets immersed in tactics on riding a police bike, right?
Right.
And the good thing about this is called a TEACS school is that we utilize their equipment, so we don't have to bring our own motorcycles there and wreck them and stuff like that, because that's part of it, is learning how to lay the bike down safely and stuff like that.
Sure.
It is a involved school. It's one of the tougher schools that a police officer will go to. And so to Councilman Jackson's point, so when we have people interested in something like that, they're learning a pretty good skill there.
Sure.
And so we're investing a lot in them. So part of the overall picture of the police department with the number of officers we have, this is also beneficial in that I kind of alluded to it earlier too. We have the specialized traffic unit. Once it's up and running, that'll take some of the burden off the patrol officers.
Right.
And so therefore they're not having to respond to these accidents. They're not having to do traffic enforcement. They're still going to do traffic enforcement, but not as much and focused. So we don't have to have that number of officers on the streets. And then the spillover will be into this traffic unit.
Right. Very good. So it's over the course of several weeks of the training.
Yes.
They're certified by the agency, as you described, that they're taking the training from, and then they have their proverbial green light pass to move forward.
Correct. Now, if we get somebody that doesn't have a motorcycle designation
Sure.
yet, we would have to send them to a basic school and then this school.
Understood.
But that's easily done. And there's models all around where that's happened.
Very
So,
good. Thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
I wanted to make sure that concept got inserted into this discussion. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilwoman Bennett.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
I am well. Merry Christmas. Okay, so just so I'm clear, so the residents are clear, because I know the answer to the question. You're not asking for more money. We're diverting money from the other vehicles that we had already passed the budget on and purchasing the motorcycles because we can't get them.
Surprise. Sorry. That is correct. Yes. We're not asking for additional. This was part of the fleet replacement.
Correct. All right, thank you.
Hi. Well, I'm going to say, do you have any comments?
I'm just very happy that this is happening. Yeah, I think it'll be great for the residents to see motorcycles out.
So, Jay, thank you for the presentation. Perla, thank you. I'm especially excited about this because I've lobbied for police chiefs And finally, Chief McCoy has agreed to do this. And this is a much needed tool for our city as we continue to grow, as we have more residents, more traffic on the streets. We are going to slow traffic down. So just know that. That is a goal of this council. We have to. People are just driving too fast through our city, not only on our major thoroughfares, but on our side streets also. And these motorcycles are a tool to help us in that regard. So thank you. Thank you, Perla, and we look forward to seeing them out there and helping to make a difference in our city. So I'm going to make a motion to approve resolution 2023-273 as presented.
Second, Mayor.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would, please indicate accordingly. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that is it for our regular agenda. We did have study session earlier, and there is action to come out of study session. However, we are not finished, so after this meeting, we will be going back to take care of 2 additional items in executive session. So, Councilman Jackson?
So, Mayor, as a result of executive session, I want to make a motion approving the sale of 3305 Cloverdale. I move that the city manager be authorized to negotiate and sign a contract to sell to Scott and Rachel Perry the property described as Lot 1, Block C of Chapel Hill, number 5, first section, known as 3305 Cloverdale, for a purchase and sales price of not less than $216,000, with the resale of said property be subject to a restriction agreement requiring construction of a single-family residence of not less than 2,100 square feet, with an assessed value of the property upon completion of construction, inclusive of both land and improvements, to be not less than $524,000.
Thank you. We have a motion. Second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Motion and a second. If you all would please mark accordingly. Great. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next up is citizen comment. I have 2 people signed up to speak. The first being Steve. I know I mispronounce it every time. Okay. Come up here. Yep. And name and address, please.
My name is Steve Subkowiak. I live at 3640 Brookhaven Club Drive. I bought that house in 1990. There is no gotcha here. I'm happy to be here. I love Farmers Branch. There isn't a better place to live in all of Texas, and you can take that to the bank. I'm here to address what's just been addressed. I'm lucky in that I go to Bible study at the Brookhaven Country Club, where I'm not a member. I'm an employee there, part-time. And that brings me to the issue at hand. At the meetings before and after, our mayor is very accessible. And he has explained to me that what I'm about to talk about, the traffic, is already being addressed. And I'm happy to see that. I mean, it's an issue. Now, for those of you, is everybody?
Steve, just talk to us. They can see you. So
okay.
Talk to us so we can hear you.
Do we have golfers in the room? Do you know what a cart path is?
Yes.
You know, that goes alongside the golf course? 3640 Brookhaven Club Drive, I have a cart path in my front yard. I can stand on my property and watch the golf course paths cross. Okay, and then living there now some 30-some years. When the widening of the intersection at Marsh and Brookhaven Club Drive was accomplished without we didn't want it. Nobody that lived on Brookhaven Club Drive there wanted it, but the traffic was so bad, it was backed up a couple blocks and you couldn't get out of your own property at rush hour. So we have it now. My concern, and it is a concern that is extremely important, and it came full in the face 2 weeks ago. In my job as a starter and marshal, I ride around in a golf cart on all 3 of those golf courses, hoping to keep people moving at the proper pace so that, everybody's out there having fun. I cross Brookhaven Club Drive in many locations on my shift all day. Last Friday, I was working the afternoon shift, and one of the gentlemen that ran for mayor here just recently, city councilman, I was having to have a conversation with him. He was walking and I was in the cart. And a young boy was crossing Brookhaven Club Drive, and he nearly got struck by a car that went around a car that was stopped. And I don't live in fear. I don't live in fear of anything. And by the way, I ride Harley Davidsons. I'm happy to see them coming. It's dangerous. We have at Marsh Lane 30 miles an hour, and then 20 miles an hour clearly marked, and then 30, and then 20. I think it goes back to 30. And I believe that the average speed there is over 40, 45. I've seen cars come by in the evening that are cruising. I've raced cars all my life and motorcycles. I know is that my 3 minutes?
Go ahead, finish up.
Okay.
Finish up.
The point is, it's extremely dangerous. And I knowing that I wasn't needed to come here tonight after what he told me, I came here anyhow because I wanted a human voice and a face to know that I see it with my own 2 eyes. I don't want to see somebody get smacked by a car in a golf cart or walking and put a big black eye on our city in the park. And also, whoever thought it was the thing to do the pickleball, in working there, I got to watch it come out of the dirt, have the event, and then go back to where it was before they started. Somebody worked a major miracle. I have a construction background. To see that thing go from start to finish, how it went and how it came through, and living there, y'all done a good job. But please, please, please take this serious on the traffic before somebody gets hurt. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Deputy Chief is in the back, so I'm sure he'll take note of that. Next up is Cheryl Howerton.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Councilman. My name is Cheryl Howerton. I live at 3657 Morningstar Circle. I'm here to address the name of the park where the new playground is being constructed, where it was previously named the Orrin Good Park. It was a distinction and a recognition because it was established by the Lions Club, a service organization. The Lions Club has said that we have given eyeglasses to children, provided wheelchairs, sent children to camps for years. Now we want to create a park to add something special to our city, and I want to see the Lions Club remembered for this service. Right now, its name has been removed, and at the time it was removed, we couldn't understand why the name was removed. The Lions Club Park is a very forward-thinking park. At a time in 1979, which predates the 1993 Disabilities Act, the Lions Club was thinking, we can have a park for children with disabilities. That would be our main focus. And then include their siblings. Of course, again, this was very forward thinking. No one was thinking about this. And a newspaper article said that this was the only park at the time in the area that addressed the needs of handicapped children directly. I would like to see this name come back to the park. While we are upgrading the playground, I don't want the contribution of these service organizations, the ones like the Lions Club and other organizations, to be forgotten. And I would like to see the name come back to the park as the Lion Orrin Good Park as it was established in 1979. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our citizen comment for this evening. As I mentioned, we still have a couple items to take care of that are executive session items. We were going to go upstairs and do that, and then we will go back into public session to take any action that might be necessary. So that will conclude our basic meeting down here for this evening. Thank you all for coming. Merry Christmas, season's greetings, happy holidays, Feliz Navidad, all of that. I hope everybody has a very good, happy and safe holiday period. So thank you.
Will you go ahead and read in the executive session item we're going back to? You need to read in the executive session.
Oh, that we're going back to. Oh.
So they'll know. And there may be action after. Just B1 on the first.
Yeah.
E1?
B1 on the first. So here, if you just make it easy for you. That one.
B1. Okay. So City Council may convene into closed executive session pursuant to Section 551-087 of the Texas Government Code to discuss economic development incentives for Project Field. Thank you all.